Hello, welcome back to Leicester Fan TV. This is the Fox's Focus Show where we'll be discussing the Arsenal game of the weekend on Saturday. I've got Simon with me today. Hello, Simon.
Evening, Jono. How are you, mate?
Scared. I'm scared. So please put a comment in. We'll get your comments up. We'll please follow and subscribe. So lots of things to discuss tonight. I think the first one is discussing the protest that's going to happen at the weekend. I mean, we can't really shy away from it. There's already a mass organisation going on for the protest, whether you agree with it or not. There's going to be one, and I can't remember the last time there's been a protest at Leicester. I don't even think there was a big one when we went to League One, to be honest. I can't think of one. Can you?
No, I mean there was a bit of discomfort over Martin O'Neill many years ago when he first came to the club and didn't particularly pull up any trees, for bad pun with the Forest connection, but he didn't for the first few weeks, and there was quite a bit of discomfort around the fans at that time. And I remember there being a protest, but nothing on this kind of organised scale. And I think for me, there's a distinction here between, if you feel like you want to make your feelings known to the board about the way your club's run, that's one thing. But then also, making sure we get inside that ground and give the team all of our support.
Exactly. Yeah. And we can't sit here and condone a protest. We're just saying that if you do go, don't go aim it at the players, don't aim it at the performance, just still cheer the lads on, still give it your all, but just don't be, we want to support the team. But thinking about this, like, this protest for me is odd because normally you have an aim, a target. I think most people's target is Rudkin. I think he's the guy who's been singled out to be the baddie, and because he's director of football, and we're in the footballing side of things, Leicester's in a horrific place. And the business side of things, I think Leicester's doing well. And I think Top is a lovely person. I don't think Top is a malicious person. I don't think he's selfish. I don't think his family are. So I'm thinking from his behalf, it must hurt him knowing that he must know this is coming. He must know that he must have heard rumours going around that this is happening, and it must hurt him knowing that fans are doing this against the club that his dad built to be what the stature it is today.
Yeah, I don't think it's a very personal thing, this, isn't it? Because it's how you feel personally, So right or wrongs, whatever, freedom of speech and all the rest of it. But it's not about, for me, being against the club. It's about the concerns as fans at the way the club's being run. And the things that have gone on over the last few years that have led us to be in what is, not the best of positions. Now, let's not forget, we're in the Premier League. Let's not take that. Let's never forget the fact that we are there, and some good things happened last year. Enzo Maresca did a very good job and got us promoted back at the first attempt as champions. It's not a disaster. Right now, collectively, owner, board, players, fans, everybody is desperate for that club to stay in the Premier League. Yeah. And we can't forget that. And this can't, for me, these are my personal feelings. This can't become a toxic. That would be counterproductive to what everybody wants. And what we all want is to be in the Premier League next season. And whatever the fans that are organising this are thinking, they cannot allow this to become
a
toxic.
Riot. It can't be toxic. No. You don't want aggression. You don't want fighting. You don't want damage. You don't want to, you don't want the police to be called because there's hooligans running around. all the fans want is that their voices to be heard, saying we're not happy. Something has to change, whether that's top hiring new staff at the top, whether that's, and I think it's also good for the players to see that, we're not just here, we're not Sheffield United, just sitting at the bottom of the table, just accepting every defeat. Because we know what this club can be. We know we've achieved the best thing ever. We've been at the top of the mountain, and we know what it's like to be there. But I don't know how this club can become fifth place twice, and got into the semi-finals of a semi-major European competition. To this, something has to cut. Something has changed. The falling signs with Brendan. That's what early was. Brendan Rodgers. He first gave the inkling there was something wrong, and every owner and every manager we've had since has said they want a different director of footballing. So there's got to be something in that.
But then there are balances in that for me as well. In terms of with Rodgers, he had his own recruitment guy come into the club, and that guy was at least part of signing players that for large sums of money on big wages that haven't had an impact for the club in a positive way. No. So Rodgers is also partly, and the team he brought in is also partly culpable.
It's 50-50
for the situation.
He brought in Maddison and Tielemans. Well, no, was that Puel?
I can't remember who was Rodgers from memory.
I think
it was just at the start of it from memory.
Yeah, I no, Maddison.
I'm sure someone will correct us if we're wrong, but
Maddison was Puel for certain, because I remember him being at the pit at the game when that was at Vichai's funeral kind of thing. He was there. So, but they did sign some good players. So I don't know how it.
And there's been some good players signed recently as well. We're not. I don't think it's just about that. I think it's about some of that. But I think it's also about some of the managerial appointments late, and I think it's also about the fact that I think there's a feeling amongst at least a portion of the fans that the club doesn't really listen to them or care about them as much as maybe it did. With that £25 to get yourself a plastic season ticket card in the summer was real bad PR.
It is really bad
for the
PR.
club, and you just surely the club should be able to remember that it's the fans that are their cash cow, their lifeblood, the constant. As all these managers and players rotate, owners eventually rotate. It's the fans that are the lifeblood of a club. You can't
piss the fans off.
You can't become detached from your fan base. You can't do that as a football club.
I still think of the days when you used to walk up to the King Power, and I remember posts and images being sent of Vichai and even Top walking around giving out shirts to children, walking to the game on someone's birthday or anniversary and get a free beer and a free drink before you walk in, a free bit of food, and the coaches on the way back to away games, and that still happens. So I put Michael's comment here. The owner and the board want us relegated. No, I don't think that's true. That's not true. Top, I know for a fact, Top loves this club. His dad loved this club. He would not give away £140 million worth of shares to everyone else if he didn't love the club. I just think he doesn't. This is the difference. I think Vichai knew how to run a football club, but his Top doesn't. So he's given the reins to someone who really doesn't know how to run a club. Maybe, and it's gone.
Yeah, I mean, even from a cold and callous financial point of view, for Top, the club getting relegated cost him in his pocket more than any of us. Let's not forget that.
It cost him a fortune.
It's him that has to then somehow restructure the club financially and put his hand in his pocket to try and get it back up. So he'll be the last person on this earth that will want to see that be the outcome of this season. I wouldn't even go as far as Jono to say he doesn't know how to run a football club. I just think he's a different personality to his dad. That was tragic, unexpected, and awful what happened there. But he wants people around him to be right at the heart of running the football club, which is fine. But you've got to get the right balance around you to make. And I think that's some of the reason why some of the fans want to vent their frustrations this weekend.
This is another reason. It was criminal how many players left at the end of the season we got relegated, how many players walked out for free? Yuri Tillemans walked out for free, and he's a Champions League player.
Mhm.
That is criminal. We could have sold him in January, gotten 30 million at least for him,
It,
and he walked out
yeah.
on a free. That is criminal.
When you look at other clubs with a similar kind of financial structure to us, the likes of Fulham and I was speaking to the lad from Fulham a few weeks ago on here, and I asked him that question: how have you avoided a PSR? How have you escaped that? And it's the same answer with everyone you speak to. It's that you buy players for one price, you develop them, you give them the showcase in your team, and you sell them for a profit.
That's what we did. That's what we did. We did that.
And I think that's changed at our club, though, Jono, lately, in that these players, as you just alluded to, have been walking out of the club for nothing. And that was our opportunity there to make that profit, like we did on Maguire, like we did on Fofana, etc., to then reinvest and develop the squad. And because we seem to have fallen off the wagon in that way lately, that's left us in a situation where we've come into bother with PSR, and it's frustrating to see, and the end result of it, unfortunately, has been that our squad's been degraded.
Well, Phil put, has it all gone wrong since Seagrave training? I mean, the stadium itself didn't put a financial burden on Leicester City as a club, because I don't think the stadium came out of the club's pocket. I think it came out of his own pocket, and he bought it for the club. But I know, obviously, there's been lots of rumours around the fact that it's made them soft, it's made them like cushy, and it's made them like living this high lifestyle. I don't.
There's something in that for me. I do think there's something in that. Beaver Drive was rough and ready. I mean, the owners did put a bit of money into making it more pleasant, but it was a building and some pitches, and you got on with it, and it was about training. Seagrave is luxury, and every manager that's been through that facility since we built it has said this is one of the best facilities they've ever seen, and that's fantastic. But is that culture a little bit too cocooned? Is it a little bit too soft on the players? I've heard stories of them getting like served their food on a plate by a waiter at lunchtime and stuff like that, and it's like, is that really what it's all about? Do you not want your players kind of angry and hungry for Saturday every week to go out there and really, and I do feel like that has maybe softened our squad up a little bit, but it's not the core reason.
No, it's if I don't know, like for me, I guess it can make people think, oh, like does it give the illusion of a top club facility? But you know what I mean. But I don't know. I think Seagrave is a subject which some people might believe, yes, it does cause a problem, but the players should be fighting on the pitch. Like they should come to the ground and see how much it means at the pitch. And you've got the same art facility, and you should be in your physical best form to play on the pitch. And when you see the fans at the pitch, you should see how much it means. But again, the stadium atmosphere has been rubbish for so long that you can't really fight that for that, really, can you?
No, but if we're kind of moving into the subject of stadium atmosphere, for me, John, that's reciprocal. The fans will support and scream and shout and cheer and jump and all the rest of it if the players on the pitch are giving them something to scream and jump about. If it's difficult, if they don't feel, like any fan, if any fan feels like their players aren't kind of giving everything they give as a fan on the pitch, whilst we haven't got the ability, we've got the passion. If you don't feel that from your team, it's then very difficult then to kind of get excited about it. And I think that's certainly been part of this season in that we haven't laid at home at least a performance of 90 minutes on the pitch, and some of it's been awful. And it's difficult to scream and jump and shout about that.
It is, and if you can relate that back to the first topic we talked about, that if the club doesn't care about the fans, the fans won't they'll still care. The fans will care about the club regardless, but the fans would. How can the fans get passionate about a club that doesn't care about the fans? And if the club charges people money, ridiculous fees, a kid might see a Vardy shirt and go, oh, like, they were brought up on Vardy because of, kids the age of 6 and 7 were brought up on Vardy, and then when they announce this Vardy, collection, and they go, oh, I want that for Christmas. When you saw a price tag of £99 for a shirt, they're going to say, well, no, kindly to the kid.
Yeah, I certainly couldn't afford that. And most people couldn't. And I suppose when you talk about all that, it boils down to the fact that 7 years ago, the owners, the fans, the players all seemed very connected. Everything was very unified. Everyone was working towards the same goal. Everyone felt quite really close knit. It was almost like a family relationship between the fans, the owner, and the players. Over the last 6 or so years, for various different reasons, that's deteriorated to the point where the fans, or at least a portion of the fans, let's get it clear, feel the need to vent their feelings. And if that's done in a peaceful, polite way, then fine. But don't take it inside the stadium and damage the team's chances of, in my opinion at least, of getting 3 points at the weekend.
Well, we'll go into the game now. We're going to start, we can talk to death about how the club is in disarray and there's lots of things going wrong at the club, but we can talk about that to death. But we have got a game coming up, and I'm going to go back to a comment that Jordan put that let's get to Arsenal. They have a good few injuries at the minute. Now, I was watching AFTV about the Leicester game, and their Arsenal fans are scared. Not scared of us dominating them, but scared they won't score. Because when you go to a club fighting for relegation, it's very hard to break them down. And they've now announced they've got injury to Havertz. Now their lineup is Trossard, Sterling, and Wanyeri. That's it. There's no backup striker. There's no sub. That is it. That's the only attacking front three. And if you're Van Nistelrooy, you can either do it 2 ways. Go at Arsenal while they're down. For me, they're one of the most defensive teams ever. But if they can't have any decent attackers, go at them, or play a low block and counter. They're for me one of the two options we can go for. So, what do you think?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because they're like you say, they've made a mistake. Most of the Arsenal fans, the media as well, were all saying in the January window they needed to bring in an attacker. Not just Jesus was injured; they still had Havertz at that point, but they didn't have anything behind Havertz to back that up. If what's now happened happens, they didn't do that. They sat on their hands. As an Arsenal fan, you must have been banging your hands. Yeah, because if you're going for the title this season, you need to make sure you've got a viable Premier League quality striker in your squad to back Havertz up. I think there's questions about Havertz anyway as a player. He misses as many as he scores. He's not the antidote. No, he's not. He's a kind of hit and miss player. So they needed that, and if you're ambitious as a club, surely you go and get that. They didn't. Now Havertz is injured. They've got no striker. So it's an opportunity for us. Martinelli's out as well this weekend, who's a very influential player going forward for them. So, it's an opportunity for Leicester. We're lucky in that way to this weekend that we're facing a team that's depleted. Now they've apparently, from what I read a little bit earlier on, they've just spent a period of time in Dubai.
They have,
yeah. So
that's where he got the hamstring injury.
Yeah, they've been winter camp training in the sun after the defeat to Newcastle in the EFL semi-final 10 days or so ago, or 8 days or whatever it was. So, they haven't played for a bit. They've got some injury problems. It's an opportunity, you would suggest. However, we have to take ownership of that opportunity as a club, and we've got to stop right now, if we want to stay in this league, conceding soppy, soft goals left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I agree.
And that Everton game, I think, probably displayed that more than anything this season that we were just there to pick off whenever they wanted to, and we have to. And for me, that's as much about personnel, Jono, as it is about training. The personnel at the back need to change.
Well, you said before the show started. Now, I call this the game of two blunt blades, because even though Arsenal have got no attack, I say we've also got no attack. We've discussed injuries ourselves. We're ourselves got injuries. Vestergaard's apparently injured. Vardy's 50-50. Now, if Vestergaard is injured, I'm actually kind of relieved, because even if Arsenal are missing those players, Odegaard, Partey have scored. Gabriel scores headers for fun from corners, so we're still vulnerable from conceding lots of goals. Does Vestergaard being injured force Van Nistelrooy to go Okoli and fast at the back, so a bit of pace? And if Christensen is injured, can we play JJ and Koulibaly as wing backs?
I think for me that's the perfect choice. I think, as you said to me earlier, Okoli had a great game against Man United in the cup. He did nothing wrong when he played.
That goal line clearance, unreal.
Yeah, brilliant. Passionate, determined, committed. Everything that we want. If you wrote a list of everything you wanted from a Leicester player right now, he ticked every box the other Friday, and he did nothing to deserve getting dropped before when he was playing under Cooper. And he does provide, as you just said, that little bit of pace in the middle that, for me, in my opinion, we've been completely lacking through the middle of our defence ever since Van Nistelrooy came in and started playing a mix of Faz and Cody and Vestergaard. So for me, almost by default, he's now forced, I hope, to select Okoli, and I think that improves our team. And Koulibaly, who's only had a couple of cameo performances so far from the bench for 10 minutes here and there, also deserves an opportunity. It's not like the others have been doing anything to keep him out the side. Give the guy a chance.
This is what I was so annoyed about. Like, yes, we almost beat Manchester United. They had to get not a massively offside goal to beat us, but that was your opportunity to try something different. Play these players, start these players going in. This is we've got no more cups. We've got no more no more other games. We've got the league left. We're not playing any more competitions. This was your chance to experiment. Going to the last half. We didn't sign anyone. We're signing one player. Sorry. We're going into the last stage of the season. Critical crunch time. Experiment. Last chance to experiment. Try something new, and go into the last game. The last 14 games with a chance to change, but he didn't take the opportunity.
No.
And but again, Okoli proved himself to me to be really good. Koulibaly deserves to start. Now going forward, if Vardy is injured, would your front three be Daka, Ayew, and Reed, or would you go different?
Let me just, before I answer that, let me just drop Martin's comment in, which is about Thomas. I apologise, Martin. It's remiss of me and Jono not to mention him, but I thought he had a really good game against Man United last Friday, and he is a shout for playing this weekend. I agree with you, Martin. On the striker front, there is no choice. If Vardy's not fit, we have to play Daka. There is nobody else. We let Cannon go, so that there is nothing else to do unless we play with a false nine, which I don't think's our game. Nothing's changed for me from before Van Nistelrooy started playing Ayew and Cordova-Reid in the wide positions, which worked against Spurs. There's been hit and miss since. I don't understand why Facundo Buonanotte is not playing, and I just don't get that. For me, that's a complete and utter mystery, other than something's gone on that I don't know about, which hasn't got anything to do with football, because ultimately, I don't think many Leicester fans would argue that he was probably our best attacking midfielder in the first half of the season. Scored some great goals, good assists, always looked passionate, wasn't scared to get stuck in with a tackle when he was needed to, looked, mature beyond his age, at that level, and to end up benched for the length of time that he has completely and utterly confuses me. Now, I know that we obviously play El Canouse in a central role, and he deserves that with the way he's played. But we were playing before Buonanotte wide right, and then he was coming in into the centre when it became relevant. And for me, I don't know what's wrong with that. So
No.
I know I that's what I'd do. I'd absolutely get Buonanotte into that midfield, and then potentially Cordova Reed down the left hand side because he scored last week against Man United, and whilst he's of an age and he comes in and out of games, he is he is providing something for the team right now.
Yeah. I think we've got a balance between experience and just having players to prove a point, because Buonanotte wants to go back to Brighton, either start in Brighton or goes either start in the starting lineup for next season or get sold for a lot of money. But he wants game time and I think he should. I think it should be Olkanous in the middle and Buonanotte on the right, and Ayew on the left and Vardy or Daka at front. And I also think what's vital is that I think now this is the first time in a long time I'm going to say this, but Winks, when he came on, was absolute garbage. That performance was abysmal. The worst. He came on, not one successful pass, lost the ball every time. So Soumare and Ndidi must start. I can't see any of the midfielders that need to start.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. It's a little bit like the Skip syndrome. He started the season looking decent, has deteriorated as the season's gone on under the pressure, I'd only imagine, of the scenario. Winks looks a similar character. He's giving the ball away cheaply. He did it against QPR in the cup in the third round a few times as well. He gifted QPR a goal at one point just by passing it just at the right hand side of the box from him, straight to one of their players.
Yeah.
He's not making good decisions on the pitch at the minute. And I don't know whether that's the pressure getting to him a little bit, or, we know he was with respect, he was a little bit of a Enzo fanboy historically, and he was very bought into Enzo's philosophies. Maybe he feels a bit detached from what's gone on since. We don't know. We're not close enough to understand that, but his performances have certainly dropped as this season from last, for me, my opinion. And I agree, if Wilf's fit, then it's Wilf and Soumare in midfield on the weekend.
But what concerns me is that if he does come on, if for some miracle we do play well against Arsenal and, holding ourselves firm, if we do bring on Winks, could that cost us the game? Hopefully not. But every time he's come on recently, and I agree from last season, even though we played in the Championship last season, I think Winks played against... We played against some Premier League opposition in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, and he did play really well. So it's not just a Championship player; he's just having a really bad time. But I'm worried that if he does come on now, he's gonna concede us goals from silly, sloppy mistakes, which have been our biggest Achilles heel all season. Silly, stupid individual errors.
Yeah, bad decision making at times. He's not thinking with the same level of clarity and confidence as he did last season. And whilst you're right, the standard of opposition last season, by and large, was of a lower standard than this. And he's probably getting less time to make his decisions this season because it's a lot faster paced, the Premier League. He is a Premier League player, Winks. He's played plenty of games for Spurs. He knows the league. He understands the standard. It's pressure for me, probably, in terms of this isn't easy, going out there every week. And being under that spotlight when you're in a relegation fight is not easy, and I feel personally like some of them are starting to struggle a little bit with that.
Definitely, I've solved it. I know why we're in the rubbish. What have we done in the last 2 seasons? Who have we signed in the last 2 seasons?
Are you asking me this question, Jono?
Yeah.
Who, as in personnel?
Yeah. From one club we bought 2 players from.
Oh.
Who bottled it all the time?
Are we alluding to Crystal
Spurs?
Palace? Spurs.
Okay.
Spurs.
We bought Skip and Winks from.
All right.
We've taken the bottle from Spurs. We're digesting it, and we're bottlers. I've just sold those 2. We're back. I've solved it.
Right, that's it. John Oathford, director of football, he's going to sort it out.
Just don't buy Spurs players. Right, so look, we'll do 2 more things. We'll do a starting lineup, then we'll do our predictions for score. So my starting line would be Hermanson in goal. Even though I think how do you pronounce our backup goalkeeper's name? I've never.
Stolarczyk.
Yeah, Stolarczyk. I feel was great against Manu as well. I thought he was great against Manu. If we sell Hermanson, we don't need to buy another keeper. He could start for us in the Championship. Hermanson in goal, Okoli and Faz at centre backs, even if Vasgard isn't injured. JJ or Luke Thomas on the left. I'll probably prefer JJ because he's more experienced and he scored that wonder goal against Arsenal earlier on in the season. Right back Koulibaly, Samari and Ndidi, and Olkanus in the midfield, and Buonanotte on the right, Ayo on the left, and Vardy up front. That'll be my starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
What would yours be?
Not too dissimilar. Hermanson in goal, Okoli and Faz centre halves. I differ from you in fullbacks. I think Luke Thomas, in hindsight, with Martin's comment, reminded me that he had a really good game against Man United, and I think he probably deserves a start in the Premier League. So I put him in left, and I put JJ. I retain JJ at right, because whilst he has obviously had his ups and downs this season, I feel like he's got his mojo back a little bit the last couple of 3 games. So I think he deserves to retain his place. I agree with you that Wilf and Samare belong as the centre midfield pairing at the weekend. I go with Buonanotte on right side of midfield, El Canus attacking midfielder, and I put D Cordova-Reid on the left, purely because I feel like he's contributed a bit more than Ayew over the last few games. And then if Vardy's fit, obviously it's a no-brainer. He plays up front.
Yeah, very very similar, but again, it's balancing experience with pace. I think if he goes with JJ and Ayew and Reid, then it's experience. If he goes with Luke Thomas, and Buonanotte and El Canus is going with young personnel. So it's down to the manager to pick which he wants. But put your comments in, guys, of the score. But I'm going to go head and heart because I think they're too I think my head is saying we'll lose 2-1. My heart's saying we'll win 2-1. I think the only chance we're going to win is if we take Arsenal by the jugular and go at them. We can't out-defend them. That's not going to happen. We've got to go at them. Whilst Arsenal have just gotten this gut punch of losing another forward, they can't risk their players attacking all game. Why can't we go at them and just take him by the neck? I think we'll win 2-1 in my heart, but I think we'll lose 2-1 in my head.
Okay, I'm going to keep my heart and head together and say that, given Arsenal's challenges with their injuries, I mean, the hope that some of the selections we've just discussed actually do come about, I fancy us for a draw this weekend, and I think a battling performance, a 90-minute battling performance, is desperately needed right now. We've got 14 games of the season left.
Yeah,
we've got to start to leave it all out there. The fans need to play their part in that to help the players deliver that performance. And I'll go. I mean, I don't think we're capable of keeping this clean sheet, but I'll go.
Most certainly not. No.
Score draw 1-1, 2-2, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I mean, Ivan thinks it's going to be a 5-0 hammering. Yeah, well, going into the weekend, if you are planning to protest, just do it peacefully. Do it outside the ground. I think the board do need to know how bad it's gotten. Not necessarily saying anyone's at fault, but they need to know there needs to be change. But do it peacefully. Don't riot. Don't be hooligans. And just go in that stadium and just cheer on the team. Just give it all the noise you've got. But I think it's a good chance to. I think, top, show us that you love Leicester. Show us if you want us to stay in the Premier League, you've got to make change.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone's got a right to freedom of speech and their opinion, but in a dignified and peaceful and polite way, and I don't think anyone would begrudge anyone giving their opinion, whether they agreed with it or not, if they did it in that manner. So I'm absolutely on side with you there, and I think we all know that the top has got a lot of adoration for our club and a lot of emotion. It's all gone a bit wrong. The relationship between the fans and the club has just deteriorated over the last few years, and somehow we need to find a way to get that synergy back together again, so we can all kind of fight from the same hymn sheet.
Yeah, I think we should, remember the Great Escape. We've done it once before. We're not 9-10 points at the bottom of the table like Southampton are, and that's what happened with our Great Escape. We're in the same situation Southampton are now, and that was later on in the season than we are now. But we're only 2 points behind Wolves, so if we're going to do it, we've got to make our voices shown now to let the board know we're here and we want change. But
yeah, and despite all of the defeats of the last few weeks, we're still in there. And if we can,
we are still in this. We're still in this. We're not out. We're not buried. We're not down and out. We've still got a chance. And John said, only chance we are going to win is Arsenal not turning up. And I think this is the best time to play them. All the season, this week is the best time to play them. But cheers, Simon, for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jono. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone else, for coming on and sharing your views and comments. Please subscribe. So yeah, we've got we'll have a show on Sunday with Jamie, our famous aftermath show about the result of Arsenal. Then we'll have Phil's show on Monday, and hopefully we're all absolutely hungover because we've spent all weekend celebrating we've won. Most likely not going to happen, but thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again soon.